Hello, my name is Logan and I'm your host, The Mighty Pirate. In today's episode, we will go into the Word of Blake, their reason for being, and eventually why the Jihad. I know for many this is a touchy topic as it signaled the end of the tabletop game. I will do my best just to state the facts and condense some of the lore reasons for the Word of Blake's actions. If you'd like additional info, you can watch my Comstar lore video for some more background. For starters, here's an overview for those of you that don't know much about the Word of Blake. They were, or are depending on how you feel about it, a splinter faction of Comstar that was created out of the conservative backlash against the removal of Comstar's mystical and religious aspects. The Blakists initially took refuge in the Free Worlds League, but were able to move most of their operations to Terra after they conquered it in 3058. They perpetuated the Jihad in 3067, which ultimately ended with the Blakists' defeat in 3081. The remaining Blakists were integrated back into Comstar, with Shadow Cells supposedly surviving into and past the Dark Ages. The story of the Word of Blake starts with Demona Aziz, when she left Terra with her staff and a cadre of followers that agreed with her traditional interpretation of Jerome Blake's works. Shortly after she had a meeting with Thomas Merrick on Atreus, she convinced the Captain General to grant her followers sanctuary in the Free Worlds League, using internal and external security forces, or ROM agents as they are known in Comstar, that were loyal to her cause. Precentor Aziz sent messages to every HPG station across the Inner Sphere, inviting all Comstar members who rejected the new ways in favor of the old to join her in exile. As Comstar refugees flooded into the Free Worlds League, Merrick granted the Word of Blake splinter group a landhold on the world of Gibson. The Blakists took over the administration of the HPGs in the Free Worlds League, as well as the Capellan Confederation within just a few years. They used this considerable income from the stations as well as the time to train their forces and build up an infrastructure. They began planning for the recapture of Terra in 3057, and when the Word of Blake sensed their opportunity to put that plan into action due to an instability stemming from the Capellan Free Worlds joint assault into the former Sarnera Marsh, they were able to move their forces well within striking distance of Terra during the confusion and turmoil. The years of preparation all paid off for them in 3058 when Blakists conquered Terra in what is called Operation Odysseus. This achieved partially through trickery, partly through outright military force, as the Blakists had many sympathizers on Terra who covered up the Word's assault fleet until it was too late. In addition, the Blakists had also managed to smuggle a sizable force onto the planet in the disguise as the 21st Century Lancers, a mercenary regiment whom Comstar had just contracted. At the same time, the Word also dispatched forces to Venus and Mars. The conquest was complete months later when Precentor Klaus Heating switched sides and brought the Titan naval yards into Blakist control. Comstar declined an attempt to liberate Terra because they believed the clans to be a greater threat at the time. After the conquest of Terra, the Word set about securing HPGs in the Chaos March, often engaging in Comstar in running battles for the stations that resulted in the disruption of interplanetary communications. The Blakists generally took a propaganda approach that made sure of appealing to help the local communities, which in turn made the locals more receptive to the Word than to Comstar. It would be years before the Word of Blake took a real step towards legitimizing itself in the eyes of its detractors. However, in 3064, Thomas Merrick nominated the Word for full Star League membership, which would be voted down. They took the step further in early 3066 with the creation of the Word of Blake Protectorate, a half a dozen Chaos March worlds that all banded together under the Word's aegis. They were contested, however, by the formation of the Allied Mercenary Command on 07 March 3066, with Jamie Wolfe, whose implicit goal was stopping the Blakist expansion into the Chaos March. The Blakists would take matters into their own hands in 3067 when the Word sponsored an insurrection of disaffected mercenaries on outreach. Led by Jamie Wolfe's sworn enemy, Wayne Waco of the Waco Rangers, the early morning attack, which included the detonation of fuel-air explosives over the barracks of the Home Guard, took the unsuspecting Wolf Dragoons by surprise. Even though they took a heavy toll from the surprise attacks, the Dragoons were able to rally and crush Waco's mercenaries. While this is happening, the Word also blockaded the Northwind Highlanders, another key member of the AMC, on their homeworld of Northwind, keeping the bulk of the faction which opposed their League membership from attending the upcoming conference. However, all of these schemes to be granted Star League membership would be for naught. At the Fourth Whitting Conference of 3067, the Capellan Confederation, Federated Sons, and Lyrian Alliance all announced their intentions to withdraw from the Star League. First Lord Christian Manstadori called for a vote of no confidence with the hope that the measure would pass and that they would force the dissenting member states to stay. The vote failed, however, even with the hasty admission of the Word of Blake and the Taurian Concordat. With the vote of no confidence, the Star League disbanded. However, many Blakists believed in the interpretation of a prophecy that foretold that they would come to power through the League, so they were understandably upset when it ceased to exist, just as they were to have joined. The Blakists resorted to threats against the former Federated Commonwealth states to rejoin the League. Blakist warships appeared in the Taraked and New Avalon systems simultaneously on December 5, 3067, bearing threats should the nations not rejoin the Star League. When the various factions refused, Blakist warships opened fire and dispatched ground troops. The Blakists expanded their assault to include almost every power in the Inner Sphere. They attacked and were responsible for some factions assaulting others in an orgy of destruction that was their jihad until 3081, when Devlin Stone's coalition were able to defeat the Word of Blake on Terra. By 3132, when the Dark Age starts, the Word of Blake's factions are effectively reduced to a footnote of history publicly, but Blakish cells remain active in Comstar, especially in Comstar's ROM Espionage and Clandestine's Operation Wing. So that's all I had to say on the Word of Blake without getting into opinions. Unfortunately, a lot of the lore related to this topic is not as easy to gather as some of the other points in Battletech history. Hopefully you all now have a more well-rounded view on the material and can see them as one of the many factions and stories within the Battletech universe. If there's a topic you'd like me to research, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching!